Title: I work the overnight shift at a mountain rest stop. If you see the woman in white, lock the doors and don't blink. I took the job because it paid well, not because I wanted to be here. A night shift at a lonely rest stop high up in the Appalachian Mountains sounded like a mix between boredom and bear attacks. But after a string of failed gigs and maxed out credit cards, I couldn't afford to be picky. The job seemed simple: stock the vending machines, clean the bathrooms, and keep an eye on the security cameras. The pay was suspiciously high for such minimal tasks, but I chalked it up to the remoteness of the location. Now I understand. No one lasts long here. The rest stop is surrounded by endless forest. No towns nearby, no traffic past midnight, no cell phone reception. There's a landline in the office, but the line crackles like it's speaking another language. The building itself is old and smells of pine cleaner and mildew. Still, I settled in. First few nights were quiet, uneventful. But on the fourth night, I found the rules. They were taped under the break room table. A faded, yellowed sheet of paper in blocky type. Rules for the night shift. 1. If you hear footsteps on the roof after 2 a.m., don't investigate. Lock yourself in the supply closet until it stops. 2. If someone knocks more than 3 times on the restroom door but doesn't answer when spoken to, do not open it. No matter what. 3. The vending machine in the east hallway sometimes dispenses unfamiliar snacks. Do not eat them. 4. At 3:33 a.m. exactly, the woman in white may appear in the parking lot. Do not look at her directly. If you do, do not blink. If you blink, she gets closer. 5. If the payphone rings, let it ring. Never answer. I laughed at first, thinking it was a prank left by a bored employee. But the laughter faded when I saw the dried blood on the paper's edge and the initials etched into the desk, MR 2017, still watching. That night, the first thing happened. It was 2:15 a.m. when I heard it. A deliberate step. Scrape. Step. Scrape. Right above my head. It went on for nearly 5 minutes. I nearly opened the door out of instinct but remembered the rule. I locked myself in the cramped supply closet and waited, heart pounding. The footsteps stopped abruptly. Silence followed, not even crickets. When I emerged, nothing was on the roof. But there were long scratch marks on the back door. Like claws dragging across metal. The next night, I watched the vending machine closely. Around 2:50 a.m., a bag of chips tumbled out on its own. Except it wasn't chips. It was something wrapped in faded parchment, labeled in a language I didn't recognize. The wrapper pulsed slightly. I tossed it into the dumpster behind the building, and it hissed when it landed. I tried to quit the next morning, but the manager didn't answer. No voicemail, no email. The hiring agency said they had no record of me being assigned there. I was trapped. The contract had no return address. I even tried to drive away, but every road out looped me right back to the rest stop. Then came the woman in white. At exactly 3:33 a.m., the security monitor blinked to static. When it came back, the parking lot was lit by a sudden harsh light, and she was standing there. Pale, impossibly tall, in a flowing white dress that didn't move in the wind. Her eyes were pure black, her smile too wide. I stared. I couldn't help it. I froze. My eyes started to water, and when I blinked, she was 10 feet closer. I blinked again. She was at the door. I fell backward and crawled under the desk, eyes wide open, gasping. I didn't blink again until dawn. She never entered, but when the sun rose, the door was covered in bloody handprints. Some were child-sized. Each night since has gotten worse. Shadows stretch longer than they should. The mirrors in the bathroom reflect things that aren't there. And the payphone keeps ringing. Last night it rang for 5 hours. I don't know what this place is. A pocket of cursed time? A feeding ground for something ancient? A test? All I know is the rules work. If you ever find yourself working the overnight shift at a mountain rest stop and find a list of rules, follow them like your life depends on it. Because it does. It watches you through the slits in the curtain, even when you swear the blinds are drawn tight. You'll tell yourself it's wind or an animal when you hear the tap on your second-story window. But you know better. There are no trees high enough to brush your glass. And no animal has fingers that long or curved. The tapping isn't random, it follows your heartbeat, echoing it like a cruel mockery. That's when you'll understand what I did too late. The thing isn't just watching. It's waiting. At first, it mimicked people I knew. My mother knocking on the door after she had been dead for 6 months. A childhood friend who hadn't spoken to me in years appearing on my porch with lifeless eyes and a frozen smile. It uses familiarity like a lure, pulling at old emotions like strings. But don't be fooled. They never blink. And they don't breathe. The thing only needs one moment of weakness, one slip of reason, to enter your home. And once it's inside, it doesn't leave. I remember the first night it stepped into the kitchen. It didn't creak the floorboards. Didn't disturb a single object. But the air changed. Every breath was thick with cold. The walls sweated with moisture that smelled like soil and copper. My lights flickered once and died. Then, silence. Not the peaceful kind, no, this was a choking, dense silence, where your own heartbeat sounds like a drumbeat in your skull. I hid in the pantry like a child, watching it from the slats as it moved without walking, more like a ripple of shadow dragged by invisible strings. The thing feeds on routine. The moment you slip from it, it slips in. Skipping brushing your teeth one night, leaving your shoes in the wrong place, breaking the exact order of your morning ritual, all of it makes you vulnerable. It waits for your patterns to falter, and then it makes its move. I used to think rituals were superstitions, old comforts to soothe fear. Now I know they're armor. The last person I saw before I fled town was my neighbor, Kyle. He didn't believe me, thought I was losing my mind. That night, I heard the ice cream truck again, playing that same warped, jingly tune in the dead of winter. Kyle opened his door to investigate. He left when he saw nothing there. But I watched from my window as the smile faded from his face, his breath stopping mid-laugh. Something pulled him backward, as if yanked by a hook in the spine. The next morning, all that remained was a melted scoop of strawberry ice cream on his porch, stained with something dark. I've been running since then. Motel to motel. State to state. No matter where I go, the tune finds me. Some nights it's faint, barely a whisper beneath traffic or wind. Other times it's loud enough to rattle the glass. I can't outrun it. I know that now. It's not bound to a town or a truck. It's a signal. A calling. And something always answers. If you hear the music playing and no one else reacts, no children running out with coins, no parents smiling in confusion, then it's not for them. It's for you. And if the truck isn't there when you look outside, don't open the door. Don't speak. Don't breathe too loudly. Wait. It will pass if you ignore it completely. If you break the silence, it will find the way in. And when it does, you'll die with a smile. Just like all the others. But what they never tell you is that the smile doesn't fade. Not even in the grave. Because that's where they dig you out. It wasn't a metaphor. I thought it was, the kind of eerie poetry small towns use to mask centuries of secrets. But this place, Hollow Pines, has no poetry. Just rituals, and consequences. When they buried Tom, my neighbor's kid, the dirt hadn't settled before I saw something move under the lamplight at the edge of the cemetery. A twitch. A ripple. And then something gray-black, long-fingered, with skin stretched thin over angular bones, slithered out of the woods and crouched low at his grave. Its eyes glowed the color of old meat, dull and sunken, but aware. I watched from my attic window, breath fogging the glass, as it dug. Slowly. Lovingly. It scooped at the dirt with reverent hands, like it was unwrapping a gift. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, Tom's grave looked undisturbed. The headstone was placed. Flowers wilted naturally. His parents, hollow-eyed and silent, never said a word. But I knew. Something had taken him back. Something that hadn't finished with him. And every night since, I've seen them, yes, them, shuffling through the fog just beyond the last row of headstones. Never in daylight. Never directly. But always there. Watching. Digging. Waiting. 3 days ago, my dog went missing. I found her leash torn apart on the edge of the yard, facing the cemetery. That night, something scratched under the floorboards of my house. Slow, methodical scratches, like nails tracing the outline of my bed. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. I knew if I got up and looked, I'd see a pale face pressed between the boards, smiling. I boarded the place up. All the doors. All the windows. But it doesn't matter. You can't keep them out, because they come from below. Beneath your house. Beneath your skin. I caught my reflection yesterday, really looked, and I swear my eyes didn't blink in sync. Something inside me shifted, like there were two passengers in one body now. Tonight, it's colder than usual. Colder than it's ever been. The kind of cold that makes your teeth ache and your breath hang long after you've exhaled. I heard the truck again. The ice cream truck. But it wasn't playing music anymore. It was humming. Like a voice. A chorus of dead children, moaning a tune with no melody, just despair. I didn't go to the window. I couldn't. I just sat here, shaking, trying to hold the parts of me that still felt human. But I can feel them now. Under my feet. Under the floor. In my lungs. I think I've been marked. Not because I saw them. But because I listened. Because I opened the damn window that first night and heard the song, faint and sweet and laced with rot. They don't take you all at once. That's what makes it worse. They take you piece by piece. First your sleep. Then your warmth. Then your mind. I think this might be my last night. I can feel something moving in my spine, something slithering up like a second shadow. I can't scream. My mouth won't open. I'm typing this with fingers that no longer feel like mine. If you hear the truck. If you feel the cold. Don't look outside. Don't listen. And whatever you do, don't answer when it whispers your name. Because if you do, you'll never be alone again. Not even in the grave.